Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Finished Article podcast. Today, it's going to be all things WWE. I'm going to be joined shortly by my co-host Shazad, but for now, it is just me. Um, so today, we are going to be running down NXT TakeOver Night One. We're going to go through the matches, the results, our thoughts, and our take on that. So I'm going to start off. I'm just going to give Shaz a couple of seconds to jump back in. I think he's just having some technical difficulties. But what I'll do is I'll start off. I'll run down the show. So the pre-show started with Zoe Stark defeating Toni Storm. Not sure why they would do that. Toni Storm's just popped over to NXT from NXT UK. So I would have expected her to have a bit of a build up with some wins. But there you go. The first match on the actual card itself on the main show was Pete Dunne against Kushida. Another match that I was looking forward to on the card. Pete Dunne defeated Kushida in one of the good matches on the card. So going through the card on night one, we will do night two in a separate video. But night one was probably my favorite of the two, even though the matches on night two of them were the ones that I'm looking forward to. Still, night one, I think, outperformed night two. That's just my take on it. The second match on the card was the Gauntlet Eliminator for the NXT North American Championship. So we had Bronson Reed win, and he earned an NXT North American Championship match against Johnny Gargano on night two. Another match that I thought LA Knight was going to win this because he's just really started his career in NXT. I thought he would have won and at least gone on to night two to have a championship match. Bronson Reed's, he well deserved. He's been in NXT for quite some time. He's lately been getting quite a big of a push, and to get the win here and go on to night two for the championship match was good to see. Going on to the next match, what a match this was. Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT UK Championship. What can I say about this match? It was just brutal watching these two beat the living crap out of each other. I think Walter's held the title for over 2 years now, or going on to 2 years. I thought Ciampa would have beaten him. It looked going through the match, in parts of it looked like Ciampa was going to win. But they put it, it was a brilliant match. Some of the moves, some of the spots were brilliant. The way they ended the match was just terrible. The match ended with a chop to Ciampa's chest and then a 1-2-3. After such a brutal match, after kicking out of so many other moves, he didn't kick out of a chop to the chest. Do you know that? Do you know what I mean? That's just weird, if you ask me. The next match was the NXT Tag Team Championship match. The titles were vacant, so it was MSK who are coming through from the Dusty Classic Cup and winning to take on the Grizzled Young Veterans and Legado del Fantasma for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Before I carry on, my boy Shaz just joined us. So welcome, Shaz. It looked like we had a bit of technical difficulties getting you on there. So I thought I'd just start and run down the show.
No, apologies. Sorry, we had some issues. So
it's cool. It's cool.
Where have you got up to, guys?
I'm literally up to the Tag Team Championship match. So MSK winning. I believe they are still undefeated in NXT since they've debuted. They debuted in the Dusty Classic Tag Team Tournament. They went through to win that. They would have had a tag team opportunity at NXT, but Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch had to vacate the titles due to injury, and MSK went on to win, which this match was just full of spots. There was so much going on in this match, so much high flying, so much spots. It was like I was watching AEW for a moment, bro. It was just mad.
The funny thing is, I have to give this match props because I have to say anything that has to follow Ciampa versus Volta would do well
Yeah,
because that
bro,
that's an insane match.
that was crazy, bro.
MSK winning the tag team titles, they did well to keep viewers entertained after what we just witnessed. But
they did, yeah. I was just going to jump onto that after the Walter and Ciampa match to follow that match. What you had to do something special, and these three tag teams did just that. Legado Fantasma, not Danny Burch, MSK, and the Grizzled Young Veterans. They put on a show. They put on a classic tag team match. And I like my tag team matches. And this one went the right way.
it did indeed.
So I will jump on to the next match. I'll let Shaz run down the main event of the evening.
So the main event of the evening being Leo Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez. And as I predicted, Raquel Gonzalez took this one. Before I go on, a special mention to Leo Shirai for having an amazing run. She had a 305
she had a really long run, bro.
Longest ever, and I believe, correct me, Shaz, if I'm not mistaken, but she won it from Charlotte Flair.
She did. I think it was NXT In Your House that she won it from last year. Before we carry on, Shaz, I can see a few people are popping up as viewers, so thank you very much for tuning in. Before you do go, before we finish, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave some comments, please. Shaz, you missed the other matches on the show as I was running them down. So, what were your take on? We'll go through them again, bro. Don't worry about that. What was your take on the pre-show? Zoe Stark and Toni Storm.
I thought that was good. For me, I enjoyed that. It was just entertaining to see that go back and forth. But it was a nice way to kick off the show.
It was, yeah, definitely.
For me, I don't know if you covered this, the Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa. For me, that was the highlight of night one.
It was
the back and forth.
To be fair, it was a good match, but my highlight was the tag team title match.
Yeah, fair enough.
I really enjoyed that match. It kept you entertained from start to finish. I'm not saying that the other matches didn't. Walter and Ciampa kept me entertained, but in a different way. If you get what I mean, there was more physical brutality, stiffness in the match, whereas the tag team match was more high spots and high flying. So they both kept you entertained, but in a different way.
I think, you know what, considering it's WrestleMania week and they're doing it over 2 nights, I have to credit NXT for splitting it well over 2 nights. And as we'll go on into night 2 in a separate video, I definitely think that the way they split the cards out was quite creative. And there was a little bit for everyone to get entertained. So for me,
definitely.
Raquel Gonzalez winning was definitely a highlight, as well as Tommaso Ciampa versus Walter.
Definitely. Just jumping onto that, just before you finish, sorry, Shaz. You mentioned, obviously, the matches have been split over 2 nights because the same as WrestleMania, which is starting tonight. The only thing I don't get is they could have had either Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole as the main event on night 1, or Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross, and then the other match as the main event on the other show.
So can I give you my take on this?
Go for it.
And I've seen this before, because if you remember WrestleMania 33, The Undertaker versus Roman Reigns, it wasn't for a title match, but it was a bit of legacy plus a handing over of the reign. So for me, I think this is because it was a grudge match. I think that's the reason why. Now, I can understand title matches, but it depends on the precedent and it depends on the storyline for me. So I have no issue with it being, but I totally agree with what you said.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, night 1, I don't know if you heard what I was saying before when you were trying to join, Shaz, but night 1 was probably the best of the 2 nights. I enjoyed night 1 over night 2. And saying that, night 2 had the matches that I wanted to see. They had the matches. They had Finn Balor and Karrion Kross, and they had Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. Those were the 2 matches that I was looking forward to. But night 1 for me stole it. And it's because, as I said, night 2 had the matches. They had the matches. They had Finn Balor and Karrion Kross, and they had Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. Those were the 2 matches that I was looking forward to. But night 1 for me stole it. And it's because of matches like Pete Dunne versus Kushida, another brilliant match. Bronson Reed winning the gauntlet, Walter and Ciampa, the tag team title match, the women's title match. They were all top quality matches. The whole card from top to bottom, even the pre-show, was just stacked with good talent. The matches, they hit them perfectly. Each match, like you said, to top Ciampa versus and Walter was a big take for anyone to do, and the 6 people in the tag team title match did it perfectly.
I mean, here's the way I look at it. We say night 1 and night 2, but ultimately, we're all winners because it's the overall show. Now, technically, if we went in COVID times, I reckon they would have done the whole thing in one night, and then
Yeah.
but then
normally it is. Normally NXT's on the Saturday and WrestleMania's on the Sunday.
Yeah,
so
correct.
normally that's how it works. But because of COVID, they're not allowed a lot of fans in for WrestleMania. They split it over 2 nights to get a maximum capacity on each night, so 25,000 people per night. That is starting later tonight. I believe it's in about 6 hours. WrestleMania.
Yes.
I think it starts at 12 o'clock.
If you haven't already checked out our WrestleMania preview show, please do go check it out. Leave some likes and comments and let us know what you think is going to happen. But anyway, back to NXT. For me, I think we're all winners here. Now, I understand what Shaz is saying about Adam Cole. And who did he fight again? Apologies.
Kyle O'Reilly.
Kyle O'Reilly, apologies. I think for me, this is just the current way that they're doing it. They're trying to split storylines up. But as a fan, you have to see it as a win-win. I mean,
of course you do.
But
night 1 was stacked. Night 2, don't get me wrong, night 2 was still a good night. I just don't think it had. I just don't think it beat night 1 with the quality of matches on night 1. And not to say night 2 had rubbish matches. There were quality matches as well. It's just I preferred night 1 over night 2. And I know some people are going to say I'm wrong. Night 2 had better matches, but everyone has their own preferences. So, my preference was night 1, mainly because of Ciampa and Walter and the tag team title match, and probably Pete Dunne and Kushida as well. That was just a brilliant match to watch. 2 technical wrestlers doing what they do best. What more can you ask for?
I mean, Pete Dunne proved to the world that he's an amazing technical wrestler, and he went out and proved it on NXT TakeOver. So, what more can you ask the guy to do? He went and he actually did as the title said.
That's it. He stood and he delivered. Bang on. I don't know if you've got any other comments that you want to throw in about night 1.
No, I think I pretty much covered it from my end. So
yeah,
I think there were a couple of particular matches. Pete Dunne versus Kushida, enjoyed that. I think for me the highlight being the women's title match. Which was something different because normally you don't think it is, but really enjoyed it. And I think Leo Shirai, they put over each other quite well. And just looking forward to when we cover around, obviously in night 2.
Yeah, and just before we finish, Walter, after that win, is now on 735 days plus as NXT UK champion. That's just over. It's going on to 2 years. That, do you know what I mean?
Is that unbeaten?
Yeah, he's unbeaten. He's not been beaten in that time. He's held the UK championship. I think since he beat Pete Dunne for it. And it was well over 2 years ago, 2019, I think. And I don't think Walter has actually been beaten.
So the reason I brought that up and asked that question is, and it really irritates me, but do you remember when Asuka was undefeated? I think she did 500 plus days.
She did, yeah.
The reason I remember that is, and I have to bring this up here because we're talking all things NXT right now, is you saw what they did with her at WrestleMania. Kind of sucks. Because
before we just go on, Shaz, we've had a comment in the past couple of minutes from someone. He's just saying agreed. I'll put the comment down there from John. John's a good friend of mine, known him a long time. I think he was agreeing with the point that I made about night 1 being better than night 2. Because I think I briefly spoke to him about it, and I think he preferred the same as me, night 1 over night 2. I just wanted to highlight that we did have a comment from him.
No,
Whilst we've been watching.
you brought the comment up. It's guys, thank you very much for tuning in and leave your comments. It's much appreciate the support.
100%. 100%. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks to my co-host Shazad for joining me. Hit the subscribe button, leave some comments, and hit the like button. We'll be back again in another video highlighting our thoughts on TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 2, which should be dropping later this evening. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and until next time, see you later.
Take it easy.